Hey cousins, welcome to Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas.
Welcome, cousins, to this episode of Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas. I'm your host, Cornell Wright, the People's Lobbyist. Let's have a conversation and grab a quick one, and we're going to talk about natural disasters and what we can do about them in the future.
Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas is intended for the participation of responsible adults of legal drinking age who wish to engage in substantive virtual discussions and social drinking for entertainment purposes only. Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas does not advocate the abuse of alcoholic beverages. Choosing to participate in any of the drinking activities shared in the program should be made with moderation and caution and is the sole responsibility of the user.
Now, cousins, keep wearing your mask. And our hearts go out to our cousins down in Waverly, Tennessee. And those good cousins had a bad experience, and there's no way to describe it other than a natural disaster. So to all the cousins in Waverly and those in the area and all their friends and family, here's one to you and hopefully for better days for you. But cousins, let's think about this for a second. What happened with the cousins down in Waverly, they're talking about a once-in-a-lifetime event and that sort of thing. And the systems we have in place, to the best of my knowledge, responded appropriately. By responded, I'm saying the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administrator predicted that there was going to be some difficulties. There was predictions that there was going to be flooding. They knew that the rains were coming. We didn't really know exactly how much and to what level. And then there was, as the whole expression goes, Lord willing, the creek don't rise. Well, in this case, the creek did rise. And unfortunately, so much water came so quickly that even those good cousins there who had the chance of moving out, if they didn't move it promptly, it may have been too late for many of them. I'm sorry for all of them, but to our best knowledge at this point in time, the systems that we knew did work. Now, I've had a chance to get down to Tennessee years ago, and from what I'm understanding, you start looking at the substrata and that sort of thing, a lot of water can come in, and because the ground isn't very deep, it doesn't have anywhere to go before it starts hitting limestone or rock or something down there, if I understand correctly. All you geologists, check me out on that. But the water didn't have anywhere to go. And because of that, the creek overflowed, and all of a sudden this torrent of water came in toward the good cousins in Waverly, Tennessee. And you would know the rest of the story. It was tough. So we started looking at that, and I said, geez, so what is going on? Why is this happening? So here's a reading from the Department of Homeland Security, which has responsibility for this sort of thing. FEMA reports to the Department of Homeland Security. NOAA is a part of the Department of Homeland Security. So a lot of good departments that we need to take care of cousins are in the Department of Homeland Security. And on their website, it says this: natural disasters include all types of severe weather, which have the potential to pose a significant threat to human health and safety, property, critical infrastructure, and homeland security. Natural disasters occur both seasonally and without warning, subjecting the nation to frequent periods of insecurity, disruption, and economic loss. These resources serve to prepare IHEs, those are the various organizations that respond to these sort of things, for a variety of natural disasters, including winter storms, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfires, earthquakes, or any combination thereof. So cousins, think about what we have heard and what we're seeing and what's happening in these areas on a regular basis. It's a lot. It's a lot that we have to be concerned about. Now, this is not going to be a climate change discussion. We've already taken care of that, in my opinion. We may cover that again in the future. But it is going to be a question of what are we doing now to help be prepared for these sorts of things moving forward. Because the Department of Homeland Security is saying that we have to be prepared for them, and various financial institutions are now starting to factor in the various aspects or disruptions associated with climate change in regards to evaluating business propositions. I would dare say that capitalism, government, and the environment have come together, and we need to figure out the best way to respond to that. Right, cousins? Keep in mind, capitalism, the government, which is us, and the environment. We got to take care of these things, cousins, and pay attention to them more. So we just had a number of events. There's wildfires out in the west. There's been a tornado, hurricane in the east. We had the situation down in Waverly. And so a lot of other cousins are having exposure to a number of natural disasters at this time of year. And by the way, it's going to become September all of a sudden, in the next couple of days, or in fact now, and they're going to be talking about the hurricane season down for the good cousins down the southeast and the Gulf Coast area, right? Cousins, we have to be attentive to this. Now, I understand that it's a hard call with the various announcing organizations to come through and say you have to leave your home. That's difficult. We don't know what to take. There's all the insecurity. There's all the questions. Don't know what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, cousins, we need to take care of the cousins. A friend of mine who was in the fire department, he told me that when he would go to a fire, and he was a captain in the fire department, he said one of the things he would do would go in and collect as many of the pictures and photographs as possible, assuming all the people were taken out, as he could grab for them. Because when you really get down to it, cousins, those are the mementos and things that are irreplaceable. We need to take care of ourselves, but recognize these things are happening, and they're happening with more frequency and unfortunately sometimes quicker, as in the case of the Waverly situation, and more deadly in the case of many of the wildfires and those kind of things that are happening out in the West. So you start thinking about this, and it says, so to their credit, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, responded appropriately. The Red Cross, who was always there, and if you have an extra $1 or two, send it to the Red Cross. Definitely appreciate them. You think about it, the Red Cross is at every fire across the nation, okay? If you have a fire in your home, you start seeing the fire departments there, the police, the EMS, first responders, and the Red Cross. Send them $1 or two if you get a chance, right? But so all these organizations are here to protect us and try to provide us with much information as possible. But so now, what are we going to do when we start to hear these recurring stories of what's happening regarding these natural disasters that are occurring? Some of them might even talk about, well, gee, maybe we ought to consider moving people, maybe moving a town. Those are hard calls. But here's one for you, that according to Homeland Security, since 1980, the United States has sustained 258 weather and climate disasters with overall damage costs to exceed $1 billion, okay? That includes an adjustment for inflation, the Consumer Price Index as of January 2020. The cumulative cost of those 258 events was $1.75 trillion with a T dollars. That's not talking about loss of life. That's talking about property and recovery and rebuilding and business interruption and those types of things, cousins. Now, so you're saying this is our natural world. Okay, yes. But cousins, what can we do to become, let's say, more in sync with our natural world? Is that too much for us to ask or figure out? I don't think so. Now, cousins, I don't have the answer to this. This is a question where there's a whole bunch of bad ideas, all right? But what I do know here in September is National Preparedness Month. And at the end of this month, we're going to be talking about on the 30th, there's going to be National Preparedness Day. So we'll have some more conversations and ideas about that one for you. And I'm not talking about, getting too crazy about this, but just preparation type of considerations, depending upon where you live. But cousins, it's a terrible situation. And I mind you that between now and whatever next period of time you want to look at, a couple months, certainly by the new year, we're going to have more and more reports of disasters that are happening across our country. I feel sorry for all the cousins who are going to be impacted by those things, perhaps even my area, because we don't know. When we do know, based upon the organizations that the government's put in place, we need to respond to those as quickly as possible and appropriately. And I think you'll hear talking about future, you have to have a plan as to how you and your family and your loved ones are going to respond in the case of a natural disaster in your area. So cousins, please, take care of yourselves. Maybe might want to give a little bit of brown as part of that preparation package too. But, so consider that going forward. We're going to talk about that more later in the month on the toward the end of the month, the 29th, I believe, we have an episode. Keep wearing your mask, cousins. Why? Because we have to. Simple answer is we had the opportunity, as I mentioned to you last episode, as Pogo said, we've met the enemy and he is us. We have to wear our masks. Get vaccinated. Mask and get vaccinated so we can finally start to root out this COVID-19, because guess what? If we don't fight it actively together, it's not going to go away. And more cousins are going to expire, and more cousins are going to get sick as a result of it. It's going to continue to impact our economy and be able to move forward in the world the way we want to. Take care of yourselves, cousin. We'll see you on the next episode of Brown Liquor and Bad Ideas.
We are the people. Welcome to the show. Here we go again.